every 20 minutes. It's your statewide Alabama Weathercast.
Hi, I'm meteorologist McCombs with the Alabama Weather Network, and this is your Saturday evening Alabama forecast. So looking across the state this evening, we've got plenty of scattered clouds around, but lots of sunshine's been out there today and across most of the state. But there have been some areas with some showers and thunderstorms, especially kind of in the north central part of the state in the Tennessee Valley, in the Birmingham metro area, and down towards the southeast as well, south of Phoenix City, heading towards Eufaula. And we expect we may have a little bit more thunderstorm action in the southeastern corner of the state here as we get through the rest of the evening with this little boundary moving through there. Taking a closer look with a radar tour here. Again, scattered showers and a few storms, not a ton of lightning out there with these. You do have a few cells there around Moulton and Lawrence County. You've got some heavier cells kind of moving towards the state line here and towards northern Madison, northern Jackson County. And there's been some heavier cells there in western Marshall County over the last hour or so. There was a pretty heavy downpour near Trussville there in kind of the Leeds and Moody area. And it's now starting to fizzle a little bit. See some outflow boundaries starting to come out as it's starting to collapse, but it's triggering off some additional storms. So we've got a few other cells down to the southeast and parts of Shelby County and moving down into southern Talladega County as well. As we move further to the south, there's more action on the eastern side of the state. As you can see here, moving towards Union Springs. I've got a few showers there in the area of Eufaula there in eastern Barber County, but you move out to the west and there's not nearly as much. Got a little bit in Perry County and northern Hale County, but a lot of places not seeing a lot in the way of coverage of showers and thunderstorms, and that's definitely the case the further south that you go. Again, really not much in most of the southern tier of the state for this afternoon, which is a change from the last several days for sure. Looking at around the coast of Mobile and Baldwin counties, the heaviest cell looks like it's going to be in central Mobile County there around US 98. Otherwise, there hasn't been as much across the beach, but still could get some development there as we head into the evening, and those boundaries continue to collide with all the thunderstorms that were to the north earlier. So looking at our Skycam network, Russellville looking nice out there with just some clouds around. 84 degrees is the current temperature. Dew points in the upper 60s. See, those dew points will be sliding down even further as we get this front through tomorrow. In Tuscaloosa at the University of Alabama, they got into the 90s today, but it's 88 degrees right now. The temperature is starting to fall a little bit as we head further towards the nighttime hours. Spanish Fort, beautiful picture right now with the sun rays coming through the clouds there. Again, you can see, and in fact, looks like we got a storm there starting to move in there from the north. But earlier you could see the towers of Mobile Bay, but starting to get some rain starting to come in the area. But beautiful view there in Spanish Fort. So what we're watching for tonight and for the rest of this weekend and for this week, for tonight, it's going to be mild in most places. Storms are ending. A little bit breezy though, and especially kind of the eastern part of the state, maybe the central part of the state, with this boundary coming in from the east and also the cold front starting to approach. So expecting maybe a little bit more of a breeze tonight than what we've typically had here recently. Showers and storms are along the front for tomorrow, but not a ton of coverage, and especially the northwestern part of the state will probably be mostly dry from once the front's already started moving through, and probably won't fire off a whole lot of showers in the northwestern part of the state. Cool mornings and comfortable afternoons are the story though as we get into this coming week. Temperatures right now, we're at 84 degrees in Alexander City. We did hit the 90s in the places that haven't seen rain. 90 in Selma, 91 in Thomasville. Got to 93, or it is at 93 in Monroeville right now. But places like Birmingham are 79 degrees, so places where there has been some rain recently have dipped down a good bit. Already starting to see this little bit of a breeze starting to develop on the eastern side of the state. So there's been wind gusts up to 17 miles per hour in Eufaula, up to 11 or 12 miles per hour. And again, this isn't a heavy breeze or anything like that, but just a little bit windier than what you might typically get on a summer night. So again, that'll be kind of a refreshing thing for those people, especially in the eastern part of the state, that get that. As we look at our Futurecast, our forecast, clouds and precipitation, you can see as we get into later tonight, you'll still have a few showers and thunderstorms around, but those should fizzle pretty quickly once we get later into the nighttime hours. And then as we get into tomorrow, again, it looks like the front will already start to be passing into the northwestern part of the state as we get into the late morning through around lunchtime, so that places like Hamilton, Florence, Huntsville, even Coleman will have a fairly small chance of rain before the front already moves through. And the main chance of getting any scattered showers and storms will be mainly in kind of the central part of the state and really the southern part of the state where there's still some time for the sun to come out and warm things up before the front gets there. But then as the front moves further down towards the south and we get it all the way through here as we get into Monday and the next couple days after that, see the northerly flow here and no rain on the board. And again, we expect that at least for a couple of days before we might start to see see some rain chances come back in the southern part of the state. All right, as far as the tropics are concerned, we've got a new storm on the board here. It's Tropical Storm Fernand. That's the one we've been talking about possibly developing for, it feels like the last week or so. So it has been named at this point, but it is not a very impressive looking storm just looking at the satellite here. And in fact, it looks like it's maybe starting to weaken a little bit, just was named just in the last couple of hours. This is the 4 p.m. advisory for it, and it's sustained winds estimated at 40 miles per hour with about 100 mile per hour or about 100 miles of diameter as far as the wind speeds are concerned. Pressure's at 1,010 millibars, and it's moving to the north at 15 miles per hour. You see that the Hurricane Center does have a forecast to potentially strengthen a little bit, could approach hurricane status as it moves to the northeast. But again, doesn't look super healthy right now. But the main story here is that this is moving well off into the Atlantic and will not threaten land. Even Bermuda should be fine at this point from what it's looking like. So that's good. Absolutely, for sure. Anytime we can do that this time of year. Further to the south, we still have this little wave here that has a small chance of development as it heads toward the Lesser Antilles of the next week, but it's just not looking super organized and doesn't look like it's going to have a lot of chance to develop in the next week. It'll continue to move further to the west, but it's going to be low enough latitude that we will not see any issues from it either. And as we have said here recently, it's good to see that we won't be expecting any problems in the Gulf or anything getting up in our direction anytime in the next week or 10 days or so. All right, and this is the story again for this coming week. We've got this cooler, drier air mass. This is looking at temperatures and winds at about 5,000 feet off the ground. And you can see it spreading down in our direction and starting to get into the state as we get into Sunday and into Monday. And we'll have a reinforcing shot of the cooler air that will kind of deepen that cooler air mass as we get into kind of Tuesday and Wednesday. And that's going to be really the core of where we could see some fairly cool mornings as we get into that part of the week. And we'll see that here in our 7 days. So again, we still have a small chance of maybe a few showers in North Alabama. Most places, though, staying dry for tomorrow. And then look at those temperatures falling just a little bit, but especially just looking at the nighttime temperatures, 58 degrees, 57 degrees there at night, and fairly dry for a few days before starting to see some rain chances start to creep back in towards the end of the weekend next weekend. And then for South Alabama, again, still could hit 90 degrees or a little bit more than that tomorrow before the front gets here. But again, slowly kind of backing down, moderating with those lows getting in the 60s. And then again, rain chances starting to return as we get late next week. But overall, it's hard to beat that kind of a 7-day forecast in August. All right, that is your forecast for this evening. And hope you stay tuned to the Alabama Weather Network.